Hi everyone, thanks for watching. In today's video, I want to talk about QAnon and the idea that Q could be the false prophet. I've seen this idea discussed in the comments of not only my videos, but others as well, so it's an idea that does merit a bit of consideration. As most of us know, QAnon alleges that a network of Satan-worshipping pedophiles is running a global sex trafficking ring. According to QAnon, this ring is comprised of leading Democrats, Hollywood celebrities, and high-ranking government officials. Over the past couple of years, other conspiracy theories have been absorbed into QAnon, such as Pizzagate and even the idea that JFK Jr. is still alive. However, their craziest belief might be that the guy who used to hang around with alleged pedophiles and who had a habit of walking unannounced into the dressing rooms of young beauty contestants and who was a notorious womanizer who repeatedly cheated on his wives, is now somehow the hero in fighting against this global sex trafficking ring. The irony of that seems to be lost on them. The Q part of QAnon is supposedly a high-ranking government official with Q-level clearance who has been leaving so-called Q drops for his followers to decipher. The fact that every single one of these Q drops ended up being wrong did little to deter those who believe. However, as many of these Q drops were deliberately vague so as to allow a myriad of interpretations. Since the election, many QAnon followers have modified their belief from Q being a single individual, leaving clues of what is to happen, to now believing that as many as 10 different high-ranking government officials may be leaving Q drops. But let's get back to the original question. Is QAnon the false prophet that we've been warned about? The answer is no, but. So that's really two answers. Let me explain. The first part is no. QAnon is not the false prophet. Why? Because there isn't a real Q behind QAnon, and the Bible teaches us that there is a real person who will be the false prophet. The fact that there isn't a real Q has been suspected for quite some time, but most recently demonstrated earlier this year by several in-depth investigations into who was posting the thousands of so-called Q drops. Those investigations revealed that a man named Jim Watkins, currently living in the Philippines, along with his son Ronald Watkins, are almost certainly responsible for the Q drops and thus were pretending to be someone named Q. By contrast, we are told in the Bible that the false prophet is a real person. In Revelation 13, we read that he will be responsible for what appears to be miracles in support of the Antichrist, along with bringing to life some sort of image to be worshipped, and also introducing the mark of the beast to the world. But most importantly, in Revelation chapter 19, verse 20, we read that the false prophet is to be cast alive into the lake of fire along with the Antichrist. So it's clear that the Bible teaches that the false prophet is a real, living person, since he is to be cast alive into the lake of fire. But to get back to the original question, is Q the false prophet? A moment ago I said no, but. So here's the but part. Although Q isn't an actual real living person deep inside the government, and therefore he can't be the actual real living false prophet, there is, however, an unquestionably real, palpable, dark energy to the QAnon phenomena. This dark energy has taken on a life of its own, not only here in the United States, but around the world. The stronger this QAnon dark energy becomes, and it's becoming very strong, the more it seems to need a singular mouthpiece, or a way to express itself in the world. We've seen various pro-Trump politicians and media personalities come pretty close to fully endorsing what QAnon preaches, but no one may have come closer to being the official mouthpiece for QAnon than Archbishop Vigano, who has sent Trump at least 2 letters over the past few months that we know about. The letters by Vigano, a former Vatican ambassador to the United States and outspoken adversary of Pope Francis, hit many of the favorite themes of the QAnon conspiracy theory, attacking the ominous global elite, attacking Bill Gates, and attacking the mainstream media. Vigano wrote that the fate of the whole world is being threatened by a global conspiracy against God and humanity, adding that Trump is the final garrison against the world dictatorship, and that his Democratic opponent, former Vice President Joe Biden, is a person who is manipulated by the deep state. What happened next, though, sent shockwaves in the QAnon world, as Vagano's letter was actually quoted by Q in the QAnon online message boards, serving to reinforce the belief in the QAnon community that Q was signifying that Vagano was speaking for him. Not long after Q posted Vagano's letter, it was also tweeted by former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Flynn is, of course, the retired Army Lieutenant General who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his contacts with Russian officials, but he has publicly embraced QAnon rhetoric in the past, and his tweet quickly generated tens of thousands of retweets and even more likes. Coincidentally, Flynn was just given a full pardon today by Trump as I'm making this video. Archbishop Vagano is someone who bears watching. Although I am convinced that the next pope will be Pietro Parolin, there is simply no doubt that Vagano has all the trademarks of the false prophet by lauding Trump in all that he does and being a mouthpiece, wittingly or not, for QAnon. In 2021, we will have a new pope, and we shouldn't be surprised if Vagano ends up being back in the Vatican at a very high position, if not the actual pontiff himself. The Bible does tell us that the coming of the Antichrist is according to the working of Satan. In 2 Thessalonians we read, "The coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved." This unrighteous deception is QAnon in a nutshell. QAnon is comprised of deliberate lies, deception, disinformation, and fear-mongering, and yet this is also where its power comes from. It seems to almost feed upon its own craziness, with each additional lie or accusation or conspiracy theory somehow helping it to grow stronger and causing its believers to be even more convinced that it's real. Although the individual or individuals claiming to be Q is not the false prophet, QAnon itself is an ugly, sickening force that's spreading throughout the world, much like a virus. And this evil force, this unrighteous deception, is looking for a mouthpiece to spread its lies, and it may have just found one in Archbishop Vagano. So that's all for today. Thanks again for watching, and if you care to leave a comment, please do. As always, please be respectful of one another in the comments. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Take care.